and I remembered my water. I gotta tell you, I'm still a little sick. Last night was I've never had the flu before, and I would not recommend it. Strong unrecommend. Last night was the last night I was able to fully sleep through the evening. Like I didn't get woken up at all by feeling sick. And I've almost beaten my fever. I expect to be all better by Sunday. And so next week, we'll hit the ground running, after the 20th, because that's everyone's going to obviously have their attention elsewhere, but we'll have a good time. So, thank you so much for joining me. It's so nice to see everybody. I'm so happy to see a stacked stream. These are some great stories, and I think we're going to have a really interesting time discussing them. So, thank you, 80s Model. That's very generous of you. Hey, Legion. Welcome back. So, as always, please keep your questions and comments to the stories in hand. There's a little bit of a Q&A at the end of each story about that specific story. And then at the very end of the stream for 10 minutes, you can ask me anything that you would like. Hey, Rob. All right, so let's get started. Story number 1. Here we go. Boop. Oh no, I covered up the word flop. Is Captain America going to be I love that. By the way, I have to say the visuals for this movie I think are really stunning. I really liked the trailers. I like the trailers, and I think the visuals of the trailers are cool. They're very clandestine. And I think that the posters have been really nice. I made that image myself. The background image is the poster, and then I put Red Hulk in like this myself, which I think is a little bit more dynamic. But some of them are really beautiful. You guys not think Red Hulk looks good? As you know, I think he looks great. I think he looks very yummy. But let's do a poll. Do you think Red Hulk looks good? Because if you don't think Red Hulk looks good, that's going to be a real problem for this movie. So, do you think Red Hulk looks good? He looks amazing. He looks fine. And then, do not care for it. I guess we'll do not my Hulk. No, I don't like that. That's something from the comic, and that was a negative thing. So, do not care for it. Okay, there we go. Oh, there. Okay. Oh, give me a second. I have to redo it. Does Red Hulk... How do you think Red Hulk looks? He looks amazing. 1 second. He looks fine. And then do not care for it. Do not care for him. Okay, there we go. Anybody can vote in a poll, by the way. Anyone who's watching, you can vote in a poll. You don't have to be a member like you do to have to join the chat. Okay, so we'll see how you guys feel about that. But let's bring in the chapters that we're going to go over, all right? I'm really glad I started doing this. I think it makes it more interesting and easier for you to follow along, and it makes it easier for me to, this used to be basically what I had written off to the side while I was talking to you. And so now you get to see it too. All right, so where's my arrow? Where did I move that arrow? Okay. So, let's talk about it. So, let's see here. Hulk tickets went on sale this morning. I knew there was going to be a 1 minute and 30 spot. My source on that had told me that there would be no new footage. And I was like, in 1 minute and 30 seconds, that seems ridiculous to me. So I was all ready, and I was all ready for this thing to drop. And it dropped, and I was like, well, let me check it out, because I was still feeling very sick. So I took a peek at it, and I was like, is there no new footage in this? And there wasn't. I mean, there might have been like a couple of extra lines or something, but there were no like amazing new shots or anything like that. And I found that very odd. Some people have said this is the shortest Captain America movie yet or something like that. It's still 2 hours. I mean, I think that's not so bad. Oh, did I say Hulk tickets? Captain America 4 tickets. Sorry. I really like Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson quite a bit. So, some people claim they're hiding a lot. People who are rooting for the film claim they're hiding a lot. And people who are rooting against the film claim they have nothing to show, or they already showed it all. So we'll see who's right when the movie comes out. So as for ticket sales, at first I was like, oh, this looks like it might flop. But then I looked at the ticket sales, and I thought they weren't horrible. Premium screens are doing pretty good. They didn't get snapped up in a second, but it's going to be a long time until we have another Avengers Endgame level event. Premium screens, though, are doing pretty strong. Thursday is doing very well. Thursday night showings, in some cases, are almost gone, particularly on a premium screen. If you want to see Captain America Brave New World opening night on a premium screen, you probably missed your chance, or you're not going to have a very good seat. But Friday and Saturday are still pretty wide open. You might not get an IMAX, but you can get a Dolby probably. And you can certainly, I think, get a very good seat in a regular screen. But I think, and there might be a lot of walk-up business. I think the Captain America 4 is going to be very reliant on that Rotten Tomatoes score. What's that score going to be? And when are they going to release the review embargo date? I'm really curious to see when that is. For Moana, they released it just a few hours before the first showings. They've never done that, I don't think, for a Marvel movie. But they could wait till the Thursday, that actual Thursday, to lift the review embargo. I've heard not great things. But would they actually do that? I think if the movie has as many problems as they're saying, maybe I would wait to release the embargo until right before opening night. And the idea there is that the reviews go up, and then it's such a short period of time before audience reactions start going up. The first showing on Tuesday is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, I bet you they do it that way. On Thursday. The first showing on Thursday is at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So if they lift that review embargo at noon, it's only going to be a couple of hours before audience reactions start coming in. And that Thursday, as I told you, is selling. So that might not be a bad strategy for this film, and hopefully people say good stuff about it on social media, and it has a Moana 2 kind of an effect. I think that could be beneficial to them. Let's see what they decide to do. Let me close the poll real quick. All right, so the results, the reason I read the results out loud is that in the replay of live streams, you can't see the poll. So only 51% of you think he looks just fine. That's amazing to me. And only 28% of you think that he looks amazing. Only a third of you basically think he looks amazing? I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that that's how little of you think he looks amazing. I guess we all have our own different tastes. But that's really, maybe it's because he's played by Harrison Ford. That's very interesting to me. He looks so much like Harrison Ford. Where's that poster I have ready to go? Look at that. He looks exactly like Harrison Ford. Hold on, you'll see me in a minute. Look at that. I think Harrison Ford really has lost a lot of his appeal and following, if that's the case. And then 19% of you think he actually looks bad. That's right, Austin. I guess chest hair isn't for everyone. I think it's delightful. Does he have it in the poster? Hold on. Oh, I think they took it off for the poster. Wow. No fun. All right. Step into the light. Okay. All right. That's right. Enhance, Dane and Benji. Enhance. All right. So that's so interesting. Okay. I think he looks great. All right. So I do think that the movie benefits from being male-centric. I see a lot of you saying it's the Marvels all over again. But the Marvels look like a tween slumber party, I actually thought the Marvels turned out to not be so bad. I didn't think it was a 4-quadrant film whatsoever, but I didn't think it was that bad. But it was certainly not something that I think guys would want to watch unless they were like super into Marvel and they were like, I'm just going to do it. And as you might recall from when the Marvels came out, the majority of its audience was male. It just was a very tiny audience. All right, so male-centric. I think this is for guys. It's for guys. It's like a Tom Clancy novel come to life. And who doesn't like a Tom Clancy novel? So I think... Chad says the IMAX showing is blocked from AMC A-list membership. That was not my experience picking up extra tickets. Did they just start doing that? That's ridiculous. I hope that's not the case. Maybe there's just a glitch on your end, CJ. All right, so I didn't have an issue. All right, so male-centric. I think it's a very male-centric film. And so I think that should help it in that regard. You might get people who are more Marvel, but there's going to be so many potential boycott issues with this movie. You know, that's what happens when you make a political film, when we're in a place of political turmoil. So I think, you know, let's see what happens. All right, so then, as I said, Red Hulk. Now, this is the introduction of the Red Hulk. Now, I think that some people who are fans, Jamie, I haven't seen the movie yet. They haven't had any press screenings. It's way too early for that. So, Red Hulk, you know, I think that for comic book fans, this is a big event. However, I think that for casuals, they're like, why, you know, I think to them it's a little silly to have Hulks changing colors. You know, and at least he shaved his mustache this time, so people don't have to be like, where's his mustache go? That was always a big debate in the comics. So, I would think that Red Hulk would be a draw, but, you know, nobody knows why he's red, Blair. He just, you know, because, you know, he's not for anger, because, you know, the regular Hulk is very angry too. That's the whole point of the Hulk. The very big temper problems. I think it's something with some kind of special radiation. So, yeah, that's right, Dane. It's a different kind of cosmic energy or something like that. It's cosmic mixed with gamma. You know, like, it's whatever. All right. Now, here's the other issue that we've talked about before. Sam Wilson in the comic books. Not popular. Very unfortunate. I have to tell you, the character of Sam Wilson's Falcon, Anthony Mackie did a lot for this character. This character was not particularly popular. I mean, certainly had his fans. But, you know, Marvel doesn't do sidekicks as well as DC does. DC is very good at sidekicks, which is why they were able to start an entire team of them with the Titans. But did not work out. You know, they've tried very, very hard to make this work. It was Blix! Oh, Blix, you're always so generous. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Very supportive of his channel. It was part of an initiative called Marvel Now, which was an all-new, all-different Marvel, which was working very hard to diversify. And you've seen a lot of these things brought over by Feige. Not Miles Morales. When are we going to get live-action Miles? But there's Ms. Marvel down there with Kamala Khan. Then there's Lady Thor, you know, Jane Foster. And then you can see there's Sam Wilson as Cap there. And I have to say, this sold very poorly. It sold very, very poorly. So I've been talking about this for a while now. I think I was the first person to talk about it. And people have started to pick up on it. And it's like, I was saying, why on earth would Kevin Feige model his movies after a comics initiative that had done so poorly? I'd be like, let's just skip over that. That was like a really bad situation. And so, in fact, they had to switch Captain America back. Because it just didn't work. It never sold well. I think part of the problem is that Captain America does not fly. I think it just doesn't work. I think that if Sam Wilson truly were to become Captain America, he'd have to, you know, just take on different properties as a hero. You know, Captain America doesn't fly. I don't care that he can turn into a fighter jet, basically, which I'm not still totally sold on. And then the other problem that people have had with the MCU version is that he has no superpowers. He doesn't take the super soldier serum. So it's kind of hard to understand how he can be in these same scenarios. Some people say, hey man, he's wrapped in vibranium, and you're like, come on, it can't be that magical. It's just one of the worst things that Kevin Feige did, besides not bring back Wanda, was to not give Sam Wilson the super soldier serum. That's right, he can't even talk to birds, Caliban. He can't even talk to birds. So yes. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about is obviously the Disney Plus show. I really liked this show. It took a lot of heat. It was very political. I think Sam Wilson had a wonderful speech at the end of it, and he looked pretty good in his suit when they introduced it. He had some cool fight moves, and I'm excited to see what they do with him here. But, he had some very good assists with Falcon and Winter Soldier. He had Bucky. Bucky does a lot of heavy lifting and doesn't get enough credit for it. That's right, Nacho Flores. I think Sebastian Stan, they took him and they put him in Thunderbolts to help out Yelena Belova, Black Widow. Mistake. He should have been in this movie. But he's not, even Captain America always had Bucky by his side. That was really, really important. So it had Bucky. It had U.S. Agent, which was, and U.S. Agent also went over to Thunderbolts. Why can't you let Sam Wilson keep his cool characters? And then Zemo, who's also, by the way, not in Thunderbolts, but should be in Thunderbolts. This is crazy. You're like, you took his entire supporting cast and you put him in a different movie. But yeah, and that's right. The Dora Milaje were in in the show. It was really a lot of fun. So I think that it was a very well constructed show. So I don't think that this movie is as well constructed. I think they're leaning a little bit too heavily on having Harrison Ford in it. And I don't think that's what it used to be. All right, then, as for the trailers, as I said, I've really liked the trailers. I think the trailers have been excellent. I think that if they're trying to hide a movie that ended up not coming together, they're doing a very good job with it. But I think they're cool. I think I like the way they have the music. I like the way it's very Tom Clancy. I think the trailers have been excellent. All right, then, that's why I'm sad we haven't had one more. I mean, Marvel usually only has 2 trailers these days. I think they should have one more. The only other alternative is that they might have a final trailer for the Super Bowl, which is the Sunday before the movie comes out. But I feel like you would want to use that for Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four. And the Super Bowl is such an expensive spot. Keith saying 3 is too many. I think a big problem is, one of you pointed this out on Movie Math or someplace. You said that Marvel is releasing not 3 movies in a year, but 3 movies in 6 months because they all come out by the end of the summer. One of them should have been moved to November, to early November, like they usually have done. They have 2 Marvel movies in the summer, and it's too many. You can really only have 1 a season. You got to have 1 in the winter, 1 for the summer, and 1 in the fall, winter. In the holiday space. They just, I think it's creating a problem. It's just too hard to advertise these things. Fantastic Four should definitely have a trailer at the Super Bowl. I think it's like almost a given because that's when Deadpool dropped its first trailer, and Kevin Feige is following that playbook down to the just very methodically. Now, Ryan Reynolds didn't make the movie that he's promoting, and I think there's a strong chance that by the end of, once Fantastic Four comes out, I think it might be proven that Ryan Reynolds really was what made Deadpool and Wolverine work so well, which is all the more shame to see it get dragged into this Justin Baldoni drama. All right, so let's talk box office numbers. Thank you, Ryan K. No, I do not think, Jillian, that Fantastic Four will be delayed because they want that Comic-Con date. They want Comic-Con to blow up the movie, just like it did for Deadpool and Wolverine. So I think that that's what they're going to do. All right, so let's talk about what the box office could actually be like for Captain America 4. So I've got the box office header here. All right, so you can see what we're talking about. Release date, title, production budget, opening weekend, domestic box office, and worldwide box office. All right. Now, thank you, Bubbles. Now, some people have been saying, oh, it's gonna be the Marvels all over again with just a $46 million opening. And look, it only got to, it couldn't even get to exactly $200 million. I don't think it's going to be the Marvels. Again, as I said, it's too male-centric. I think there are some elements that are just too appealing to comic book fans. I think Cap's big problem is going to be getting to people to see it more than once in theaters. I think you're probably going to see it once in theaters, and then, I mean, unless it's a miracle, I think that you'll probably go and see it again. You'll be able to wait to Disney Plus, and then you can watch it to your heart's content. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't feeling well this week, so I was like, I'm going to rewatch the Deadpool and Wolverine fight sequence against all the Deadpools. And so I couldn't believe that I was able to just get my phone, turn on Disney Plus, get the Disney Plus app, and just scrub right to that. Steven Soderbergh was disgusted. And I scrubbed to that scene, and it was so much fun to watch. But I didn't have to pay for it. It was just included in my subscription. I never paid for the movie, and I could do whatever I wanted with it, and it was amazing. So, yeah, I think Disney Plus, I don't know how much it hurts. You know, I can't tell if it's a positive or a negative in like the grand scheme of things. It's on YouTube? Really? That's crazy. That's really weird that it's on YouTube. I mean, at least I have to pay for Disney Plus. Quite a bit, by the way. Disney Plus is not inexpensive. I'm a little miffed about that. All right. So I don't think you're looking at a Marvel situation. All right. So then what about the Eternals? Is it going to be like the Eternals? Opened at 71.2, only got to 400 worldwide. I think the Eternals was a little bit not masculine enough either, you know? I mean, I thought the Eternals had some great sequences, but it made absolutely no sense. And it became very skippable. So I don't think it's going to do the Eternals. You know what I think it's going to do? Quantumania. I think the prediction of like 95 to 100 million is correct. I think 95 to 100 million will do very well. You know, it's interesting. Rashad says that the black community will rally behind this movie. I hope it does. But I think they have a little bit of an issue with whether or not there will be an issue because of the Israeli-Palestine conflict. Luckily, I'm so thankful that they've reached a ceasefire deal, you know, to bring peace to the civilians in that area. But a lot of people, you know, I don't know if it's still Sabra. That character, you know, it's supposed to be an Israeli version of Black Widow in the movie, and I don't know, you know, I don't if they take it out, I think they're going to get in trouble. If they keep it in, I think they're going to get in trouble. So I think that, thank you, Devon. So we'll see how people react. We'll see if you know how it works. So, but I think that would be really important, and it would be, I think, if that audience shows up, it would be very beneficial to this film. All right. So I think it's going to be a Quantumania situation where I think it's going to open solid, very solid, and then I think it's going to peter out kind of fast. She's been in all of the trailers, Sabra. It is the actress from Unorthodox, which was a very good show, by the way, on Netflix. So I think this is somewhat reasonable. 463. That's only about 100 million more than what it cost to make this movie, thanks to all the reshoots and because of the strikes. I think this is a little low. I hope it doesn't do this poorly. I think you're going to have a mix between this and look, about 10 years ago, well, actually a little over 10 years ago, Captain America and the Winter Soldier came out. It opened in the same place, 95 million, not accounting for inflation. And it got to 714 because it was a phenomenal movie. So I think you're probably going to see Captain America land somewhere in between these two, Quantumania and some of you I saw saying 500 to 600 million. I saw some people saying that. I think that's a pretty good bet. Eric said 600 million. Yeah. And Rashad said 700 to 800. I think 800 is a little high. Unless the movie's amazing. Unless it's absolutely amazing. Ikenna says, you keep saying not masculine enough. It doesn't have to be. Well, you have to remember, Elizabeth Olsen is very sexy. And I think Elizabeth Olsen helps a lot, which makes it all the more ridiculous that they have benched her. I told you my experience seeing a press screening for Multiverse of Madness. I had two straight bros sitting behind me, and it was so fun listening to their conversation. They were allies. They were great guys. So they were sitting behind me, and one of them turns to the other and says, "Wanda looks so great. She has a great outfit. It's professional, but yet she still looks really fantastic." And I was like, "She does." I mean, I didn't say anything. I don't want them to know I was listening to them. But I was like, yeah, it's an amazing outfit, like it's respectful, but she still looks gorgeous. That's right, Benji, men love Wanda. Everyone loves Wanda. And the fact that she's still sitting on the sidelines is just absolutely insane. But there was a rumor she might be in Doomsday. And so that would only help that film. I'm telling you, she sells, as the Scarlet Witch, she sells tickets. She can't sell a ticket to save her life outside of Marvel. But as Wanda, she's extremely popular. She's got an amazing power set. They use it really well. She has horror elements. She looks gorgeous. I mean, she's got everything. She's the lady who has everything. She's she's got everything. So, I think, I don't know where Scarlet Witch is. It's really driving me crazy. All right, so that's my situation on the box office. I think, 600 to 700 million. Maybe 500 to 700. It would be wonderful. I mean, it would not, considering how much the movie cost, it's almost impossible for this movie with the budget that it has to turn a profit, to be honest with you. But I think now Marvel's just hoping that it does okay from a public perspective, not a business perspective. All right, then, where's the arrow? Okay, the other wrinkle here is what the heck is going to happen then with the Avengers? Captain America leads the Avengers. So if this movie doesn't do well, where the heck does that leave poor Sam? Now, I think this is really tragic because I have to say that I think Sam Wilson would be an incredible leader for the Avengers. I think he would probably be the best leader they've had to date because I think that he's proven to be such a compassionate but yet still stern person. He has just such a sense of calm but also decency that I think it was something that really does set him apart. That's right, Rob, the counseling angle for vets was just really beautiful. It was such a great addition to the character. And I think that he's often had to talk Steve Rogers down and be the voice of reason for him. And I think that he gets it. I think he's responsible. I think because he hasn't taken any super soldier serum maybe, but I don't think super soldier serum would change him. I think Sam understands the responsibility to everybody. I think he's somebody who really tries to understand where everybody in a situation is coming from. But I think he's also able to, at the end of the day, make the tough call. Sometimes people who listen to everybody then therefore can't be tough. And they try to make sure everybody's happy. I think Sam understands that not everybody can always be happy, but he tries his hardest to get to the fairest position possible. I think he's just a really wonderful character. I really hope that this does well. Because I would love to see him be able to lead the Avengers coming off of a hit. Because he's just really, really phenomenal. But I have to tell you that Sam Wilson in the comics has been on the Avengers, but he's never really led them. He's never been like a frontline character. But I would like to see him lead the Avengers. I really would. Maybe it's not as Captain America, but I think he would be I think he'd be the best leader they've ever had. I think there would be less infighting. I think maybe it would be a good idea for them to have a regular person as their leader, like Nick Fury. But Nick Fury always had his own agenda. Sam Wilson doesn't play that way. Sam Wilson he's just really, I think, just a phenomenal human being. He really is. I miss him. Oh, Sam, I wish you had better marketing. All right. Reddy says that Sam might be the best leader, but unfortunately, he's not popular. I feel bad about that. I think, I think there should be some exploration as to maybe why that is. Let's see. Thanks, Dane. I'd love to be the Avengers team liaison. All right, so do you have any questions or comments about this story before we move on to the next one? Sapphire Wiccan says, who is behind this potentially flopping? Thinking of the multiple reshoots. What is behind this potentially flopping? I just think, as usual, when these things don't work out, it's because they weren't built to be successful. I think too often People don't, especially people who are, you got to make tough calls, And sometimes you have to say, like, what's the incentive to go see this? Who's the cool character? Stuff like that. Eloy says, this is bad for Ford if this flops after Indiana Jones flopped and him not being part of Star Wars anymore. Yes, I think it's very bad for him. Also, what color Hulk would you be, Grace? I guess I don't know. I'd want to be the traditional green, maybe? I don't know. I'm told I look good in blue, so I guess maybe I'll be a blue Hulk. But then I'd just be a giant smurf. Let's see here. And then Brandon says, I was surprised to see a text from my brother this morning with him sending me the Dolby poster with Sam and Tiamat on it and telling me he wants to go with me if it connects with Eternals. Well, that's awesome. Good. I'm glad your brother wants to go. That's all that matters, right? Steven says, I wonder if people being exhausted by real-world politics, that it could be affecting excitement for this if it's not as an escape as much as other films. I don't know. I mean, he's just going to, I don't know. It depends, I guess, how they show Ross, President Ross. I hope they are not stupid enough to have him affiliated with the obvious party. I'd be like, he's just a politician. He's just a generic politician. And look, he just turned into a giant red monster with no shirt. Let's have fun. Okay. Adam Sphere says, should the movie have humor? That's a good question. People like humor. Winter Soldier didn't have a lot of jokes in it. By the way, Winter Soldier also had eye candy in Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. I forgot to upload that poster, but remember the Russo brothers gave her that very sexy hairstyle. Joss Whedon had made her more cute, but they gave her that really cool straight hairstyle. Brandon says, I was surprised to see it. Oh, so I just got that one. Ben 10 said, maybe there's no leader in Doomsday after all. That'd be horrible if there. I don't know. Well, I think there's that rumor that the original Cap is going to be in the movie as well. So, I don't know. That's so unfair to Sam. He's like, why do I always have to talk to you? Why can't I just be Captain America? Josh Loves Movies says, should this make Marvel concerned with Thunderbolts since both movies are connected? I don't know. Thunderbolts is very funny. I have to tell you, my mom is interested in Thunderbolts and my dad is interested in Captain America Brave New World. But they're both a little comic book movied out. I'll tell you that much. That's right, Rob Wall. Harrison Ford got paid, so he doesn't care. What's that? Paris says, do you think that this movie will have a lot of connections to Avengers Doomsday, or will that be Fantastic Four? I think that'll be Fantastic Four. I don't think this movie will have any connections to Avengers Doomsday. I'd be amazed. That's true. Liv Tyler is rumored to come back, not confirmed. We'll see. I don't know how many surprises this movie has up its sleeve. Also, Kevin Feige is getting into deeper and deeper cuts, which I think is always hard. Yoda says, I feel like this is the first Marvel movie in a long time where I don't know spoilers and leaks. Well, that's refreshing, right? I hope we're all pleasantly surprised. In the Moment Reel says, if America is ever going to be the country it thinks it is, then telling a story where Captain America can be a black man is important, flop or not. What a nice comment. That's a really nice comment. I hope this movie is good. I think this movie bears a lot of responsibility, besides just being entertaining. The Fawn says, do you think vibranium adamantium will play a part in Doctor Doom gaining power in Doomsday Secret Wars? I haven't heard anything about that. No. Let's see here. Ben 10 says, Red She-Hulk versus Green She-Hulk. You want to see that fight? I wish that She-Hulk was in this movie. I think it actually would help this movie if She-Hulk was in it. I really want to see She-Hulk redeemed. Steven Turner says the MCU has been pushing Captain Carter more than Sam. Well, it's just that damn What If series. Ikenna says Doctor Strange is best to lead the Avengers. What? Let's do a poll. Who should lead the Avengers? Sam Wilson, Carol Danvers, Doctor Strange, and then let's do Sam and Cap together. Sam and Carol together. Okay. By the way, anyone watching can vote in a poll. So I'll just take a couple of questions while you guys vote. Ben 10 said, I want Carol and Sam, but they need some very popular characters in it. That's pretty funny, Ben, because you're like, those two aren't popular, but they're the best leaders, so let's back them up with some good popular characters. Let's hear. Ethan says, any ideas what the end credits could be, or what you'd like it to be? I'm not going to spoil end credit scenes. I don't think that's, someone just said how nice it is. They don't know anything about the movie. Oh, Elise says, what about the Wasp, like in the comics? Well, I like that idea, but Evangeline Lilly turned the Wasp into such a wet blanket. She's just always complaining. Now, Michelle Pfeiffer's Wasp maybe would be good. Mika says, opening weekend prediction. I feel like it's going to be around what they're saying. Robin Zilla says, I think the movie would benefit from a better marketing campaign. Deadpool and Wolverine and Wicked had very clear theater-going themes. That's true. And then Steven Turner says, drop the Avengers, just focus on X-Men. I'm really worried about the X-Men. I hope they get it right. Ben 10 says they need Spider-Man, Daredevil, and or Star-Lord. I think Star-Lord maybe probably. Daredevil, I don't know what he's going to do on the Avengers except get beaten to a pulp. And then Spider-Man, of course, I think we all, he's already on the Avengers. But Rob, Star-Lord should not lead the Avengers. And neither should Wanda, Ricardo. I mean, these people have emotional issues. I love Daredevil, but, he can't lead the team. All right, we'll move on to the next story in a second. Let me just close the poll. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, it's very divided. Oh, all right. Wow. All right, Carol Danvers on her own got only 8%. Whew. Poor Carol. All right, Doctor Strange came in next with 29%. Then Sam Wilson by himself at 30%. And just edging it out at 31% was Sam and Carol together, which is fascinating because they both have military backgrounds. So perhaps they are the best to lead the group. So, great. Think Noodle says, what are your overall thoughts on the success of Marvel Rivals? I'll be talking about Marvel Rivals probably next week in a video, so I'm going to save my thoughts for that. But I have noticed the popularity of Marvel Rivals. Okay. So let's go on to the next story. Hold on. Okay. Story number 2. Boop. All right. What's going on with TikTok, man? Is it really going to go dark on Sunday morning? All right. So the Supreme Court this morning said they are upholding the law that says that TikTok must be sold to a company that has that's not Chinese, basically. So the reason they said that was okay was because they said it has nothing to do with the First Amendment rights, because TikTok can be in the United States as long as it has a different owner. So the issue is who owns TikTok. So that is the real problem, and that has nothing to do with the Constitution, so the law has been upheld. So as of now, what's happening? Well, as of right now, I guess midnight Saturday, when the clock rolls over to 12:01 a.m. and it's officially Sunday, January 19th, TikTok will no longer be available to be sold on any platform in the United States. You won't be able to download it onto your phone. I think that because it's banned, they could not operate it either. In India, we're going to talk about India. India has banned TikTok, and you can't use it there. So it will go dark and not be available to use probably Sunday morning. But I don't think you should be too worried. But let's talk about it. So Democrats, I think they've got a bit of a problem because they're getting very likely to a resolution here where they are the ones that took away TikTok. And I think that that's not going to be great for them in the future. But I don't think that, I don't know if Biden's going to, I think it would be weird if Biden at the last minute gave them like a delay or something. Like, we'll see. We'll see if they do. Really at this point, it's like, who's gonna save TikTok? That's what it's become. I think it's not, is TikTok really going to be banned? I think it's now, is TikTok, who's going to save it? And everybody wants to save TikTok, by the way. All right, so the bill itself was actually something that was very much supported by both Democrats and Republicans. It actually had amazing bipartisan support. So did very, very well. And that's why it was actually rushed through the Senate. It didn't even have a hard time getting passed. So both parties were supportive of this. Why is this happening? So India was the first country to ban TikTok. In China, they have a different version of TikTok that they have just for China because they want to censor it. But that's a different issue. So I looked it up, and India banned TikTok. It says, announcing the ban on June 29th, the Ministry of Information and Technology said it had received reports of misuse of some mobile apps. This included stealing and surreptitiously transmitting users' data in an unauthorized manner to servers which have locations outside of India. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Okay, so that's why India banned it, why other countries have been thinking of banning TikTok, and why America voted to do it. So let's see here. Then, how about buying TikTok? You've seen a number of people over the last few days say that they will buy TikTok. I saw one of you saying Mr. Beast wants to buy it. Well, here's the thing. The reason nobody will ever buy TikTok is because they don't want to sell TikTok. They like how TikTok operates. That's the whole point of TikTok. So they don't want to sell it because it's obviously extremely valuable to them. So they're not going to sell TikTok, certainly not to somebody that they're not dealing with. So they're not going to just sell it to some random celebrity, no matter how many billions they manage to be able to piece together. All right, so they're going to sell it to somebody they have a relationship with. And here's where things could get very, very interesting. So Trump, as you can see, is very friendly with China. In fact, he even invited the Chinese leader to his inauguration. I don't know if the guy's actually going to attend, but they've invited him to come. And Trump just tweeted today, or put on Truth Social, his own Twitter version of Twitter, that he had a great conversation with China's leadership about many things, including TikTok. And he said, don't worry, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Now, interestingly, the tech companies have been extremely supportive of Trump. In fact, almost all the tech leaders will be in attendance on Monday at his inauguration. But many of them are hoping to get TikTok creators so they can therefore get TikTok viewership. So everybody's trying to get them. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is trying to get them for Instagram and stuff like that. YouTube's trying to get them. All these companies are hoping to be able to get them. Elon Musk, he would like to get them on Twitter, but he's been he hasn't really said anything about it. He has some financial issues. I don't know if he's liquid enough to be able to buy, Twitter. To buy TikTok and roll it into Twitter maybe. Who knows, okay? But then here's where things, I think, become extremely interesting. It's interesting, one, as attorney, you say that Musk ruined Twitter. I think Elon Musk turned Twitter into the written version of TikTok. I think he borrowed so much from TikTok. I think that both TikTok, let me go back to tech companies. I think that both TikTok and Twitter are become very political. I think both of them use certain techniques to keep you engaged in the platform more than you otherwise normally would if they weren't tricking you. Now, this isn't something totally new just to technology. McDonald's food and a lot of junk food, for instance, has a special mix of salt and fat to make it addictive. So, this is something that's long been done by companies. I think TikTok and Twitter are extremely addictive, and I think they're intentionally addictive. When I was in Disneyland Paris, I was watching a wonderful stage show about singing Christmas carols. And I couldn't believe that the teenage girl in front of me was on TikTok. I was like, why are you sitting in the middle of a show on TikTok? That's so weird. And she just, I'd never seen anyone watch TikTok before, because I don't watch TikTok, and I'd never seen it before. And I was shocked that she was just watching 30-second clips, and she was like liking them or not liking them, like she was playing the slots at Vegas. And I was thinking to myself, you couldn't be getting anything of value in 30 seconds. It was almost like Clockwork Orange, and they got the guy's eyes open and they're like, oh, watch this. And I'm sure that the algorithm feeds her partially what she likes, but I bet the algorithm feeds her partially what the algorithm would like to feed her. But I was really interested. It was fascinating to see. So I do think that, by the way, I think that Twitter has the same thing. I think Twitter has become the same thing. And in fact, if I didn't have a presence on Twitter for work, I probably wouldn't be on Twitter. And because I think it's become this unhealthy thing. And I've set a limit on it on my phone. It used to be an hour, but I cheat. And I go, 15 more minutes. And so now I'm down to just 30 minutes. I've just set it at a 30-minute block on my phone. So yeah, I was just actually talking to somebody about this yesterday. I was like, I think that YouTube is more like a television or like a streaming service, and I think, but I think this short content thing is, as some of you said, it's really hurting attention spans, as Rob said. I think it's really destroying people's ability to have an attention span, which is why you see more and more people on their phones in movie theaters. It's really difficult. So we'll see what happens. But many people have pointed out that a lot of people make their living from TikTok. It's very helpful to many industries and businesses. And I think it would be disruptive if it was stopped, certainly that quickly, okay? Now, here's the thing where I think this gets, let's see if it happens. If it happens, I'm going to laugh, okay? Because there's nothing you can do but laugh. Adam Sphere says that China doesn't let teenagers use it. That's fascinating. That's really interesting. Okay, so this is really, really interesting. So what does Trump win if he saves Twitter? I wouldn't be surprised if the moment he's sworn in, he signs something to let saves TikTok. If he lets TikTok get back online, like immediately, and gives it a little bit of an extension to make a deal, which we'll talk about in a second. So as soon as he's sworn in, you got it, Rob. You guessed it, okay? And I don't think, he can't afford TikTok, but this is what I think is going to happen. So I think Trump will get inaugurated. He'll lift the ban, so it'll only be dark for 24 hours or so, just to give you a little taste of the horrors of having no TikTok. And just enough anguish for everyone to be like, oh, thank you for saving it. So he wins support and he wins votes. He really wins over a lot of the youth vote. And everybody goes, oh my God, Trump saved TikTok. He saved my way of life. He saved my living, my ability to support myself. He saved what I do all day and how I communicate with people. He would get a lot of, people who maybe didn't vote for him who suddenly would be like, oh, thank you. And then who owns TikTok? So the rule is that TikTok has to be sold to a company, but it doesn't say anything about a shell company, right? And the only way you could prove that something's a shell company is if you look into it. But what if nobody looks into it? What if they sell it to a company that is owned by Trump or somebody Trump knows? Maybe one of Trump's relatives, he already did kind of stuff like that with Saudi Arabia, right? He was taking deals. I think Ivanka got a lot of money, same way. Maybe Elon would also be involved in why he's been so quiet. Melania just got $40 million from Amazon for a documentary. Okay? You're like, what's in this documentary, Melania? Jeff Bezos gave her $40 million for a documentary. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised, somebody somehow connected to Trump. And also Trump will say, I own the company, so you can trust it. You don't have to worry about it because it's the very president. I mean, there was a rule saying, there's a rule actually, the presidents can't own companies, but nobody ever enforced it. So it'll be very interesting to me to see what happens. Be very, very interesting to see what happens. But I think we're entering a very interesting 4 years at least, and we don't know for sure what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, you can't, it's like hate the game, not the player. I mean, this is a player who's managing to be able to change the game, but he's letting people letting him do it. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think TikTok's not going away. I think China's not going to lose anything. I don't know what they're doing with TikTok, but I think they're going to be able to keep going on doing exactly whatever it is they're doing. And I think Trump's going to make a lot of money off of it and get a lot of support because he saved it. And that's what I think is going to happen. Maybe he'll roll it into Truth Social. But yeah, I really do believe that's probably what's going to happen. All right. It's like we're living in a movie. Okay, does anybody questions or comments about this story? Atomsphere. Any questions or comments about this? I mean, for someone who's not on TikTok. That's right, Trey Robinson. Jimmy Carter gave up his farm company because you're not supposed to own a company. Buck's Basement says, reason they want to buy TikTok is because of TikTok's incredible algorithm, although China even said they will sell to the U.S. Even if of course they're not going to give up that algorithm. They'll never give it up. And I would not expect them to. There isn't enough money in the world for that algorithm. It'd be like selling the recipe for McDonald's French fries. It'll never happen. Wanda's attorney, I will never join TikTok. I don't want it on my phone. Usman says, Americans are the best part of TikTok. Without you guys, it's going to be like Marvel after Endgame. Ah, what a sweet thing to say. Ah, that's very nice. Paris Ryan says, this isn't even about movies. Well, I think it's about the entertainment space, for sure. I mean, a lot of movies are publicized on TikTok. Some of them are spoiled on TikTok. Dancing Dog 60... well, we'll see what happens. Benji, I really honestly think you're only going to not have TikTok for like a day. 2 to 3 days at most. Nacho says TikTok is more about music. I'm sure it does very well. I mean, it depends what you're interested in. TikTok apparently does extremely well for cooking. I mean, I see TikTok videos on Twitter all the time. Benji points out that Wicked did a lot on TikTok. That's right, Marianne. Megan got helped substantially by TikTok. CM, I did watch The Apprentice movie, and I thought it was actually pretty good. Obed, people don't seem to care. All right. Okay, I think we can move on to the next story. All right. Story number 3. All right. Oh, wait. Boom, baby. All right. Greta Gerwig. She's back. She's back. So Greta Gerwig was in the news today about a development with her Narnia movies. So let's talk about that situation. Let's work our way through this story. All right, so post Barbie Gerwig. What a shame that she had a deal in place for her next movie already. Now, I think it would have been fine if Greta Gerwig had been, a deal to do Narnia at some point. But the fact that Greta Gerwig had a deal where she had to do Narnia next, I think has really hurt her. And I feel bad. And I think her agents made a mistake by setting that up for her that way. And it's been delayed because she's been fighting with Netflix about whether or not she's going to make it because she wanted to really have the movie in theaters. Now, Netflix does not like to release its movies in theaters. They like to release them for a qualifying run for like 2 days or something in like a handful of theaters across the country, just so that they can qualify for the awards. They like their movies to go directly to their streaming platform. They feel that they have more of an allegiance to their subscribers. They're ahead of everybody else. And they feel one of the ways they do that is that they provide them with content. You know, a lot of other Hollywood executives have said, you know, it's an insatiable black hole of people who want streaming. And they just want more and more and more content. And Netflix is like, we got to keep the beast fed. So we're not going to theaters. We want to put these movies on the streaming service. And they also feel that their subscribers will become upset and might start churning if they feel, hey, I paid for that movie with my subscription money, and then you have to make me pay to see it again when you put it in theaters first. It's not working out for them. But Greta Gerwig insisted on it. And I think she dragged her feet on making the movie and said, I'm not going to make it if it doesn't play in theaters. Now, I think she's used her Barbie capital here. And people are saying she used her Barbie capital. I think this is a huge waste of her Barbie capital. And the fact that this is what she spent her Barbie capital on, as I said, makes me very sad. I think that she should have gotten more out of turning Barbie into $1 billion movie. More than $1 billion, like $1.6 billion. So I'm frustrated for her and how this worked out for her. So what did she get? What did she get, Alex? Or whatever. All right. So what did she get? And this is why the deal is so stupid. She got The Chronicles of Narnia, her first movie, to be in theaters, like 1,000 theaters or something, and in IMAX screens, but for just 2 weeks. I think it's going to be almost impossible to convince anybody but hardcore Narnia fans to pay to see a movie in theaters that in just 2 weeks they'll be able to watch at home. I think that is not enough of a window, especially when it's announced in advance. I mean, I agree that she should have insisted on as Danny said, 4 weeks. I saw 2 weeks. I saw 2 weeks being listed online. Let me see. Let me double check. Hold on. Oh, it's not even a top story anymore. Greta Gerwig, Narnia. 2026. 2 weeks in IMAX. Okay, 2 weeks in IMAX. So I was right about that. It's 2 weeks in IMAX. I don't see anything about 3 to 4 weeks in the other theaters. Okay, so, well, here's the thing. Narnia will release the movie in IMAX on Thanksgiving Day, 2026, and will debut on Netflix on Christmas Day. But this is deadline, okay? However, there is no word on whether or not the movie will continue to play for 4 weeks or if it will just go dark for a 2-week break. So 2 weeks in theaters on IMAX. It's an exclusive IMAX run, so you'd have to see it in IMAX. It's getting an exclusive 2-week IMAX global run in 90 countries across 1,000 IMAX screens, and then it will go to Netflix. I think you can wait. I mean, that might work a little bit better. Let's see what comes out in Thanksgiving 2026. That's a little bit like Encanto. I don't think the movie will make a lot of money, to be honest with you, but it might be okay. Let's see here. November 2026. All right, so the reason that, what about the Hunger Games is coming out then? And there's also an untitled Disney animated movie. It might be a Frozen. If it's a Frozen, good Lord, that's going to suck. So let's see here. All right, so it says, let's see here. Yeah, let's see. They have the Hunger Games. Sucks for Hunger Games because then they're not going to be able to get Thanksgiving IMAX screens. So let's see. Let's see what Disney's, if it's Frozen, they have a real problem. And that really puts Disney in a bad spot. I mean, because Disney is going to want those IMAX screens. And that really hurts any other potential IMAX. I wonder how much Netflix paid for that IMAX exclusive. For 2 weeks, guaranteed. I think that really puts any other movie that could potentially open it for the Thanksgiving holiday in a bad spot. I guess they'll have the Dolby, but that's really tough. We'll see what they decide to do. But that's what they'll be competing with. The Hey Mitch Hunger Games. That's right, Nacho. That's the one that's coming out. The Hey Mitch Hunger Games prequel. And then also a Disney animated movie. I got to tell you, and okay, so will it work? So will it work? We just talked about that. I'm nervous about it. I'm not sure. And also, IMAX tickets are more expensive. So I think that it'll be harder to get a family to go and see an IMAX movie, and if that's their only option. So it better look really amazing. Now, of course, don't forget, they already made a bunch of Narnia movies that did really well at first. That's why there were 3 of them, and then they fell off a cliff. You know how I remember the Narnia movies? Those damn kids went to Narnia, led an army of endangered fantasy animals into battle, and then when things started to go poorly, they ran back home while all of the animals were killed. They left all their troops to die. I remember watching the movie and being like, why is nobody bringing this up? They just totally abandoned their army. What horrible leaders. All right, so, but they started out really well. They gave the world to James McAvoy and Tilda Swinton. That's what happened, Keith. I was there. That's right, CM. There will be no regular screens. It'll be just IMAX. You will only be able to see it on IMAX. All right, now let's talk about, will Greta Gerwig's Narnia itself work? Stephen says Greta better not skimp on the religious content of Narnia or they have no chance at all. Jess, it's not a wide release. It's only going to play on 1,000 IMAX screens across the globe, apparently. That's what they said. Yes, 90 countries across 1,000 screens. That's not very many when you think about the fact it's in 90 countries. Sherm, I just read it in Deadline, and it didn't say 4 weeks. It said that there will be a difference in the time of when that's 4 weeks between when the movie opens in theaters and plays on Netflix, but they specifically said that it's only a 2-week exclusive to IMAX. So it's probably just not going to be anywhere for 2 weeks. Let's see here. I can't help it if you are reading inferior news sources. All right, so I had a funny thing that I forgot to load up here. All right. Where'd it go? Okay, so you mentioned that this should be religious. And Greta Gerwig herself has said that she's very aware of the Christian elements in Narnia and that people regard it as a very Christian-themed book. However, the very author himself, C.S. Lewis, had written, some people seem to think that I, C.S. Lewis, began by asking myself how, well, I'll just do it in he. Some people think that he began by asking himself how he could say something about Christianity to children, then fixed on the fairy tale as an instrument, then collected information about child psychology and decided what age group he'd like to write for, then drew up a list of basic Christian truths and hammered out allegories to embody them. This is all pure moonshine. He couldn't write in that way. It all began with images, a fawn carrying an umbrella, a queen on a sledge, a magnificent lion. At first, there wasn't anything Christian about them. That element pushed itself in on its own accord. So C.S. Lewis says he never intended them to be used that way, and that is something that happened after the fact. Sounds a lot like the internet. He's an early victim of the internet. I thought that was a really fascinating quote. But you do have to have Christian elements in it because that's such a big thing that's going on right now, and they're going to expect it. But are they going to expect Greta Gerwig's version of it? I just have some concern that Greta Gerwig can't make a Narnia that would appeal to certain groups these days. I just don't know if she's that kind of filmmaker. I have some concerns, and I hope that she's really thinking hard about who her audience would be. I think she's going to make the Narnia that she would like to see. And I have to say, I saw her Little Women movie, and I thought it was fantastic. Little Women was the best version of the story I ever saw, but she made some changes that I really liked because they were extremely feminist. But, Greta Gerwig makes movies that I like because I have a similar sensibility to her. But the question is, does she have her business hat? Does Greta Gerwig own a business hat? I think she's a very good storyteller and filmmaker. I think she's she has a lot of really impressive insight. I thought that what she did with Barbie was incredible. And it made $1 billion. But I don't know if there's the same interest in a remake of Narnia when the last one is still pretty well remembered. I think we'd have to see who was cast in it. And I just think it's been done before. And I don't know how it can be done any better. The first Narnia was really, really well done. So let's just see. I'll be curious. Let me ask you, as you said you wanted a poll. Will you see Greta Gerwig's? I agree, Stephen. It should have been a limited series. Narnia. On IMAX. On Netflix. I need to see a trailer. And then probably not. All right, anybody who's watching can vote in a poll, by the way. You don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. I'll watch it. Especially if it's coming out for Thanksgiving or Christmas, I'll watch it. And as a reviewer, I'll probably review it. So I guess maybe I get to see it in IMAX. That'd be fun. But if I wasn't, I think with Hunger Games and thank you, Hugh, for gifting a membership. I think with Hunger Games and a Disney animated movie coming out in theaters, I probably would wait to watch it on Netflix, to be honest with you. It would have to look so incredible. I would have to be like, how can I miss it? I need to see it. And also, I'm an AMC A-list member, so I wouldn't have to pay for it. It wouldn't cost me any extra money to go and see it. So I'm like, sure, let's go see it on IMAX. It sounds like fun to me. And also, I guess I loved Barbie and Little Women so much. Okay, I'm waiting for some votes. Anyone have any questions about this? And then we'll move on to the Ask Me Anything. Let's see here. Jose says, for me, as long as they keep Aslan a magic lion, I'm okay with whatever they come up with. I love it. I'm sure they will. She's not insane. Jesse says, didn't Knives Out 2 do something similar? I don't think it was on IMAX screens, and it was on very limited screens. I think it was just out for a week or something. I know that Daniel Craig was mighty upset about it. Well, Iron, I don't know if Greta Gerwig has mass appeal. Broad appeal. Barbie made $1.6 billion. I don't think you can say she doesn't have mass appeal. J. Jonah Jameson says, what if they turn this into a musical? I don't know. They turned Willy Wonka into a musical, which I thought was a dumb idea until I saw it, and then I was like, this is amazing. Mystic, I did like Lady Bird. I didn't like Lady Bird as much as, Little Women and Barbie, but I enjoyed it. Sherm, I just read the Deadline article, and it did not say anything about 4-week theatrical. Maybe it will be in regular theaters. Dane, I'm not reviewing Wolfman. I was very sick on Monday. It was one of my sickest days, and that's when the press screening was, and so I had to cancel. Not only did I not feel well, but I didn't think it was responsible with how sick I was to go and expose anybody else. Enrique says, I think Greta needs to adapt the first Narnia book, which is The Magician's Nephew, what a title, in order to give something different and establish the story. Great idea! Enrique, if only you worked for her or were at Netflix advising her. The House of Overthinking, that's a great name, says Christians will support Narnia like they supported Passion of the Christ as long as it doesn't insult them. Or Greta Gerwig doesn't insult them. I'd be like, girl, you better be really nice in your interviews. I mean, you don't have to say anything you don't want to, but don't say anything stupid either. That's what I would say. Jamie says that's the rumor, that she will be doing that. Enrique. Oh, so Jamie says Greta Gerwig is a genius. So let's see. If it's a totally new story, that would really help. I think that would, if it's a new story that isn't The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I think that would benefit. I mean, that would be a totally different conversation. Dane, I'm glad you liked Wolfman. The thing I was going to say about, well, maybe I'll still save it for Movie Math. Yeah, I'll save it for Movie Math. Let's see here. Nacho Flores says Saoirse Ronan is in talks for The Young White Witch. I like Saoirse Ronan a lot, and she, of course, always works with Greta Gerwig. You don't want to always work with the exact same people, though, because then it just becomes less like its own thing. I would advise Greta Gerwig against that. As much as I like Saoirse Ronan, I think it's a mistake. Nacho says, what about Leo and Scorsese? That's true. Look, it wouldn't bother me, but I gotta say, as an executive, I'd be like, really? Wouldn't you like to work with someone new? And look how well it worked when you teamed with Margot Robbie. Elliot says, Elizabeth Debicki or Emily Blunt is your pick. I like, hey, Elliot, I think Elizabeth Debicki is a great choice. Tennessee Shad, thank you. That's so generous of you. Thank you. I'd try and find someone that everybody loved so much. Somebody different. It's supposed to be a younger version of the character. So, I'd try and find someone who was just like a really up-and-coming star that everybody was excited about. That's right, Dan O'Leary. It would be very hard to top Tilda Swinton. Okay, now we're just trying to cast the White Witch. Does anybody have any questions? Let me close the poll. Okay, end poll. All right, so, where'd it go? Come on. All right, so, 31% of you need to see a trailer. That makes total sense. 26% of you you're waiting for Netflix. 23% of you, IMAX. And then 19% of you don't think that you'll see it at all. Let's do a poll on whether or not it makes a difference what book it is. Well, no, I don't think we need to do a poll. I think clearly that would change a lot of people's opinions if it was a different story. And then Chris says, do you see Marvel Rivals as offering exclusive content and character skins to people who buy Cap 4 tickets with Regal? I did see that. I think that's great. I think I probably would have added additional characters in there to make it more of something people wanted to buy, for sure, because that's reliant entirely on whether or not you're excited about that movie. I think I'd throw in another character that you're like, oh, I gotta get that character. I don't even care if I'm interested in seeing Cap 4. I'll just buy the ticket because I need the character. And then I'd be like, you can't return that goddamn ticket. I'm not sending you the code until after the movie theater time passes. That's what I would say if I were Marvel. I'd be like, you think you're getting that code right away? No way. You'll get that code. I'd be like, you have to make sure the person doesn't return the ticket. There's a real problem with AMC A-List that I've noticed. I don't know if you have, but people don't show up. And you often go to a movie that says it's sold out online, But either there's lots of empty seats, or right before the movie starts, the best seats in the theater open up. I don't know if I told you, but that's how I got great seats to see Wicked for a third time. I was stuck all the way at the end of the Dolby. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be, this is a ridiculously bad seat. But then, right before the movie started, about 15 minutes before the movie started, two seats opened up that were not next to each other. There was one seat in between them. And they opened up, like right in the center. It was like the best seats in the house. So I grabbed them, and I was like, I'll just ask this third person who's sitting between us if they'll move over one, because hopefully they won't be that mean. Especially if they're coming late, they probably don't care. But that person gave back their ticket too. So I ended up buying way too many seats for Wicked. I was like, I'll enjoy my money, Wicked. But that's what happened, and I was frustrated about it. Okay, so let's do the Q&A for 10 minutes. Ask me anything. So it's 4:08 until 4:18. Think Noodle says, what were your thoughts on Pixar's Win or Lose trailer? I thought it looked bad. Also, what are your thoughts on removing the trans character in storyline? Well, I never watched the trailer, to be honest with you, because I just don't have any interest in the show. I'm sorry that it looked bad. And then on that note, I think it's, I feel really bad that people said that they were crying when they got that news. And I think that, a studio has some allegiance to their artists. And I think it's particularly hurtful because I think a number of the people who work at Disney feel that it does represent them. And so to be told that, I think is really brutal. But I think it wouldn't do the character any favors to be associated with something that's not good. So, I'm really glad that we have really great trans representation in Squid Game. Squid Game 2 has the best trans character, that I think I've ever seen. And I just think that show is incredible for many reasons, but that's one of them. Harrison said, you guys are really hitting me with all the hot questions. I can't believe this. Harrison says, do you know what a Hollywood ambassador even is? Trump is hiring Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone, and Jon Voight for the role. Very odd. Well, interestingly, I saw a headline that Mel Gibson didn't even know he had the job until he found out on social media. So apparently Trump gave these people these jobs without even consulting them, which I find bizarre. But, for those four guys, I'm not shocked. I think it's too early to comment on this because nobody knows what it means. Nobody knows what we're dealing with. So I think we have to get a little bit more information. A couple of people called me about it yesterday from Hollywood being like, what is this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And they're like, well, I don't know. And we all just decided, let's just see what happens. All right, let's see here. Danny, I am feeling better, but I won't be covering Severance weekly. I reviewed it, and there just isn't enough interest for the show, at least in the YouTube space, to warrant the effort. I probably will do a spoiler review when the show wraps. In March! Oh my God, it's going to be on forever, because it's 10 episodes, so that's 10 weeks. I can't believe it. I think it's like March 21st. So I'll probably do a spoiler review, but I'm not going to cover it week to week. Also, I don't know how I would cover a show like that week to week. It's a very different type of show. Ricardo says, if Elizabeth Olsen were to come back for Doomsday, when do you think it would be officially announced? Maybe Comic-Con. They got to have something for Comic-Con, baby. So I think Comic-Con, they're going to start shooting soon, right? So maybe beforehand. I don't know how much of a commitment she would have to make if she was involved. In the Moment Reel says, AMC has started canceling memberships if you have a certain amount of no-shows. That's right, which is why people cancel their tickets at the last 10 to 15 minutes before the movie starts. So the best seats in the house so that's something to keep an eye on if you're going to a movie at an AMC. There's a very good chance, especially if you live in a crowded area, that 10 to 15 minutes before that movie starts, in some cases, even just 5 minutes before the movie starts, you will see the best seats in the house open up. Brandon says, do you think the Daredevil trailer underperformed? Well, let me take a look and see what it's at now. Daredevil trailer. All right, so the trailer itself is up to 12 million views. That's not bad. But when you go back to a show like Loki season 2, because I was looking at this the other day. Let's see here. Well, that had 17 million views. So 12's pretty good. I can tell you that there was very little interest in discussing the trailer, which was surprising to me. So we'll see how the show does. I hope that it can get into the Nielsen charts. Keith says, have you heard anything about new Star Wars animation? Rumor is there's 2 new projects in development, but nothing has been announced. No, I haven't. The only thing well, there has been one announced, another season of Star Wars Visions. Let's see here. CM says, thoughts on an adult Nicholas Scratch in the MCU as an Agatha to Billy's Wanda? What do you mean? I think you'll see Nicholas Scratch for sure at some point. For sure. But it'll be in relation to Agatha. That's Agatha's story. Nofik says, what happened to J.J. Abrams? You never hear his name anymore. Well, you hear about his daughter, Gracie Abrams, all the time. Will he ever have a big comeback? He's got so much money. They gave him like $500 million to sign at Warner Brothers, remember? And then he never did anything. Wow, what a way to make a living. I don't know. Maybe someday, but I mean, he still has a deal at a studio, and he's still very successful. And I think sometimes people are working behind the scenes and you don't realize that they're still working. That's something that, there's a lot of stuff in Hollywood that never gets really publicized. So he's still, I think, doing stuff. Dylan says, thoughts on Cynthia Erivo wanting to play Storm? Well, let me tell you. When I put on my fan hat, I think it's a great idea. I think she'd be a wonderful Storm, especially after seeing her in Wicked. I think she carries herself amazingly well. I think she definitely has that regal quality to her. And I think she can do VFX wire work incredibly well. She can do it while singing and acting and doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, she did that flying sequence on harnessing and just like a superhero scene. And it was just phenomenal. So I think she'd be and she really loves the character and really wants to do it. And that's often a recipe for success. However, my business hat says that the Marvel comic book fans, well, not, I think there's some crossover, by the way, between Wicked and X-Men fans. But I think there'd be too many people who would not like it. So I just think, I don't think they can keep playing around with Storm. They just, after already casting the character twice, they got to get her right. I'm talking about not having anything about colorism. I think she's got to make sure she's definitely regal. I think she's got to have the accent. I think she's got to just be a real knockout and in a way that's appealing to multiple groups. And I just don't know if Cynthia Erivo can deliver that version of Storm. But I do think that, if we stay with the multiverse, I would love to see Cynthia Erivo get to suit up at some point. I think she'd do a really lovely job. You know what? Maybe I'd make her Storm in Doomsday because, in the Thor Corps, so she doesn't have to stick around, but she gets to do it, just like John Krasinski was Mr. Fantastic. I think I'd love to give her the opportunity to play the role because I just like her so much. Let's see here. Kent, or at least I don't know her very well as a person, although she's been awfully nice to Ariana Grande, but I think she's very talented. Kent says, no question. Usually at work during these, I wanted to take the opportunity to say hi. Hey, Kent. I'm glad you were able to make one live, and thank you for the kind words. Ben says, when are we going to get some Batman 2 news? I hope we have a villain confirmation soon. Me too. I really hope so. Hopefully soon. Maybe again, Comic-Con. Let's see here. Noel says, my partner Chris wants to say hi. Hello, Chris. We are in Paraguay. I moved from the U.S. and always have you on. He loves Squid Game too as much as you. You got good taste, Chris. That's so nice. Paraguay sounds like such a lovely place to live. Eric wants to point out that nothing has beat Pose when it comes to trans representation. That's probably, well, that's not probably, that's definitely right. And thank you for bringing it up, Eric. Dane says, Grace, after years of watching me watch your videos, my boyfriend now asks any fresh Grace when he walks in the door. Ah, that's very sweet. Say hi to your boyfriend for me. Dancing Doug 60 says, Grace, could a at the movies show work on regular TV these days? I think it's difficult because these days all the TV stations are owned by movie companies. And so they do not want to see their content reviewed or their competitors' content reviewed on their networks. Let's see here. Dylan says, thoughts on... I just answered that. William Wallace says, what do you think Netflix will do about Sandman now that has all come out about Neil Gaiman? I think all Neil Gaiman projects are probably dead. For potentially forever. But certainly for the foreseeable, very long foreseeable future. Nacho Flores says, I think Margaret Qualley would be a great Catwoman. Her cat suit in the substance was like she was on the leapt off the comic book page. I don't know about Margaret. I think Margaret Qualley has too much of a cute quality to her. I think that Selena Kyle has a very much of an edge to her. And I thought that Zoe Kravitz was a really great Catwoman. I hope she gets an opportunity to reprise the role. Kyle wants to point out that maybe the problem with the Daredevil trailer that it was almost the exact same trailer that was leaked. You know, Kyle, that might be it. That might be what it is. I hope that's what it is. I want Daredevil to be successful. I hope you're correct on that. Poke says, love you, Grace. Best YouTuber ever. Thank you. How do you feel about AMC app's new layout being purple? Is it? The AMC Tickets app? I was just on there earlier today. It was not purple. It was red. It looks red to me. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it is purple. Ew. I don't like it. Why is it purple? No me gusta. I like it better red, because that's the color of AMC. All right. Let's see here. Blake Bell. Oh, thank you for gifting a membership, Blake. Oh, 2 memberships. Thank you, Blake. Darksea, I haven't seen any leaked set photos for Wicked 2, and I don't want to see them. Don't show them to me. I want to be surprised. CM says, as for Mystique, I think they need an actress with modeling experience or dance experience. You need someone who has good control of their body and can do good poses and stuff like that. I think that's important. Marianne says, if Lupita wasn't in Black Panther, she'd be a great Storm. I think she'd definitely be in contention for sure, I think. I see not a lot of your Gracie Abrams fans. She benefits substantially from being friends with Taylor Swift. Jose says Keke Palmer should be Rogue. You know, it's interesting. I think Keke Palmer definitely has the personality of Rogue. Her movie might do pretty well this weekend, so let's see what happens. That would be the best thing to ever happen to Keke Palmer, just as they're getting ready to cast. I don't know if they'd ever race bend Rogue, but she might get something really good out of this. So let's see how this movie performs. Hey, Natalie in West Palm Beach, Florida. Thanks, the movie nerd. William Wallace says, are you going to watch the cutscenes for part 2 of The Last of Us? I sure am, but closer to release. I guess I should maybe watch them. Maybe I should watch them. I should actually watch them because the trailers are going to start coming out. So yeah, maybe I need something to watch today. Maybe I'll get started on that. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. I had it in my calendar to watch it before the show drops, but I need to be ready for trailers. And I'm going to have to really do different kind of trailer breakdowns because HBO Max is extremely aggressive with claiming trailer reactions, which is why you'll notice that nobody really covers HBO Max trailers anymore. Auntie Deborah had the same question. Iron Issa is pointing out that Barbie didn't have great diversity demos. That's true, and I bet Little Women didn't either. And I think she's going to have to change that if she wants Narnia to do really well. Blake Bell, no updates on the Blade movie. David Krumholtz joined Supergirl. I'll have to take a look at it. That's Bernard the Elf. CM says, what would you advise Ariana Grande to do next? I'm not sure, but I would advise her to be very careful. Very, very careful. And then Russ says, hi Grace, I'm struggling to get my message through your filter, but would you ever put these streams up on Spotify? No, I wouldn't. I think you can listen to them audio-wise here. I'm very against diversifying my platforms because I think it's important to keep everything in one place. So I'm sorry about that. Maybe one day I'll have a podcast or something that's different, but these videos, I think it's important to keep them the way that they are. And Editing Geek says, any tea on Stranger Things 5? Do you know anything about upcoming teasers or release date? Not yet, but I'm very excited. CJ says Ariana needs to be in a biopic. I think she'd be a great Audrey Hepburn. I honestly have to, that's what she should do. And Josh Loves Movies just said that. That's what I would do if I were Ariana, if I was advising Ariana Grande. I think she looks a lot like Audrey Hepburn. And I think everyone loves Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn actually has a fascinating story. And I think that I think her fans would love it. So I think that would be a great thing for her to do. All right, I better get going. Let me do some shout outs. Let me do some quick shout outs. Let me just do, where is it? Where are you and what are you up to? I'll think about it, William, about a reviewing of the cutscenes. It's going to take me a while to watch them. They're super long. Ricardo, have fun seeing Baby Girl. It's very adult. Hey to you and Ricardo. Ricardo, hey to you and Brian. Danny's in Guatemala. I'm glad you had a day off so you could join us. Let's see here. Blue Prada. I hope you hear something good back from Universal. Sod is playing Marvel Rivals right now. Wanda's attorney is going to go back to watching Severance. Enjoy. I'm sure you're loving the show. Legion is in Florida, still at work, but it's Friday. You have a great weekend too, Isaac Lopez. Ben 10, bon nuit. I always love seeing you, that you're going to sleep in France. Keith is chilling after class with my Ruby badge. I love it. I love it, Keith. Isaac's going to watch The Substance soon. Elise says, on your way to the eye doctor. I hope everything's okay. I hope it's just a checkup. CJ's on vacation. That's great. That's good. I'm so glad you're having a good time. You deserve it, CJ. Cat Jack is in foggy Germany. Ooh, I like it. You have a good weekend too, Marcus Steph. Linda Jordan is in Charleston, just chilling with her her dachshund, Sweetie. Hey, Sweetie. That's great. TW, I didn't see your super chat. Do we still think that Sabrina Carpenter is live act? I don't know. Maybe. She was a little adult in her Netflix special. I don't know. I saw Better Man and I thought it started out really strong, but then got a little only medium when it ended, so I'm a little less enthusiastic about Tangled. Liam Hudson is finishing work in Edmonton, Alberton, Canada. You're near the Edmonton Mall, one of the coolest places I've ever been. J. Jonah Jameson, let's see here. Munchie Ice says in Phoenix, going home from work. Marduk says, bye Grace and Beyonders around the world. Bye Marduk. Brad McDonald is at the gym in Australia, getting through a bike ride while watching you. That's great. That's so good. You're on the other side of the globe. Let's see here. Poke Marvel Rivals is a very popular video game right now. Mystic says, taking a break from studying for my exam tomorrow for a little Grace cheer. I'm glad I could recharge your batteries and you can get back in there and study. Blake Bell is in Florida, about to order Cap 4 tickets. I hope you get some good ones. Kyle says in Los Angeles, getting my workout for the day. Well, Steven is reading some comics in Brooklyn. Storm Solo is so good. CM, I hope you have a great weekend. And Ramanzilla says, I'm stuck at work. You and the Beyonders are helping me through it. I'm glad. You're almost done. It's almost the weekend. And Dane says, finishing my work week in Nova. Have a great weekend, everyone. Hope you continue. Thanks. I hope I feel better, too. William, I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Let's see here. Nathan Gonzalez says, just got in, but I'm eating. Hey, Nathan. And then TWS says, thank you, Grace. Currently preparing to move out from my parents' place here in Finland. Wow! Planning to watch lots of movies in 2025. Well, you can stay up as late as you want, but don't do it. It's a bad habit because you're going to have your own place. That's exciting. But I hope that you still visit your parents a whole lot because they love you, and I'm sure this will be hard for them. But that's very exciting. Raphael says, in Trieste, Italy, with a mild cold. Oh, you too. Feel better yourself. And then Phil, hey Phil, says, we're getting ready for my 32nd birthday in Manchester tomorrow. Oh, that's great. That's so great. A happy birthday. And Ricardo says, love me a Friday stream. I do too. It's great to be able to have one. And Aided Buffalo says, about to consume honey glazed pepperoni pizza after my workout, 100 calories down, 800 to go. It all equals out. That's funny. I love it. I love it. All right, everybody, I better get going. I loved seeing you as always. Thank you for a great live stream. I should be all better, hopefully, by Sunday, and then we will have another great week ahead of us, and I will be putting up more videos. So thank you for bearing with me. The flu really did a number on me. Okay, bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.